Hello everyone, and welcome to the Git, Spring Boot, and Maven tutorial by Dead of Night Studios. In this video, the viewer will become familiar with using Git to manage local and remote source code repositories, as well as how to build and run Maven applications. The source code is developed in another video. Please see Spring Boot Quick Start by Dead of Night Studios in order to see how the source code was created. But let's go ahead and get started. So first you're going to need a distributed version control system in order to manage and save your code at various stages of its application lifecycle and as new requirements come in. So for this tutorial we'll be using Git. You can download it at git-scm.com. It's used by a lot of the big name companies in the tech industry. It's free and open source. Great utility. If you're running Linux or a similar distribution, you can go to the terminal and type in sudo apt install Git in order to install the latest. I already have it installed, and if you want to confirm, go ahead and type in git --version, and you should get back the version of Git, which in our case is 2.25.1. So having a local repository is great, especially if we're adding a whole bunch of new features, but having a remote repository is even better, in which case if my computer is suddenly destroyed, or I would like other developers to be able to see my changes and pull the code and maybe make modifications and changes on their end, I'm going to need a remote repository in order to do this. GitHub provides free repositories to a certain extent, and as long as they're public. I think it also provides a few private repositories, but only a limited amount. And we're going to use this to host our source code. So I've already created an account, and we're going to go to the repositories page, and then we're going to go to new, and we're going to call this repository menu, and we're going to call it, or we're going to say that the description is provides access to menu items. I'm going to make it a public repository. No need to initialize a README, so let's go ahead and create it. So GitHub actually provides you a nice, clean command line list that you can run in order to push your first commit. We'll be following something similar, but let's go ahead and open up a terminal. Navigate to your project's directory. In my case, it's Development Eclipse Workspace menu. And once in here, we're going to need to initialize the project with a Git repository. So first thing, I just want to make sure that so my old repository is still there. I'm going to remove the old .git file. Go ahead and clear that. And then I'm going to do git init. So I had a previous repository link for this service. I went ahead and removed that. You probably won't need to do that. Just go ahead and type git init, and this will create a .git file for this project. And to confirm that we actually have a Git file there, and it is looking at changes, let's do git status, and we should see what branch we're on, how many commits, and then any red text indicates files and folders that we have not added or included in any of our Git history. So we're going to want to add everything. So let's do git add period, and we could do git add only a certain section such as POM, but we want to do everything in order to include all the changes that we have. So git add period, and then to confirm that, let's do git status, and all the green text here indicates all the new files added that are about to be tracked if we commit these changes. So right now they're just added, and Git is aware of these changes, but they haven't been committed to our local repository. So in order to do that, we can do git commit -m with double quotes and then provide a message. So this will be our initial commit for menu microservice with git all menu items and git menu item by ID. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and hit enter. We should see all the mods created. If we do a git status, we see that there are no outstanding changes, and now we can push up these changes. Oh, I'm sorry. First, we need to add the remote origin. So we can go back to GitHub, copy and paste the remote origin here, go back to our console, paste it over, and we basically are going to add an origin to the remote repository via GitHub, Dead of Night Studios, menu.git to our local repository so that we can push up these changes. And then if we do git push, git push -u origin master. And then we'll need to sign in. And now our source code should be pushed to the master branch once we see this last line. And we can confirm that by going back to GitHub, hitting refresh, and bam! We see our source code here. So let's go back to the terminal. And having a master branch is great, but we want to keep our stable code separate from our code that is currently in development, especially if we have multiple people working on that branch or new features. So let's go ahead and create a development branch and push that up to our remote origin. So git checkout, and if we were just to type in the branch name here, so just git checkout development, it's going to think that we're checking out an already existing branch called development, which doesn't exist. So if we do this, we'll get an error, which is not what we want. We want to create this branch. So instead, we need to provide an argument of -b, and this will create a new development branch locally for us, copying whatever code or branch code that we have currently, which in our case is master, into the new branch. So now we have switched to a new branch development, and we want to push this up. But we need to set the upstream origin as well. So now let's go back to GitHub, hit refresh, click on our branches, and we should see the development branch there. Awesome. So now we have our two branches. Things are looking good. This README though is not what I wanted. It just contains a bunch of references to the Spring Boot startup material and documentation. So I'm going to open up Eclipse, go down to the README file, and in here I'm going to go ahead and remove everything and start entering in some new text. So this will be the menu microservice used to provide access to the menu items. We're going to provide the tech stack. So in this case, it's going to be Java 8 with Spring Boot, and we can go to the Palm file to check the version number. In this case, 2.3.1. Go back -Maven, and I believe it's 3.6, but to confirm, we can go to the console and let's clear this for us. And then we can type in mvn -- version. It looks like 3.6.3. Alright, awesome. We also need to provide build and run commands for anybody that wants to download and compile this application themselves. And this needs to be as straightforward as possible because they may not be using an IDE or the same IDE that we're using. So for this case, first thing we want to do is to give them build instructions. So to build the code, please run, and we'll give a Maven clean install. So what this does is it makes sure and clean all the old dependencies, installs new ones, reruns the test cases, and then compiles all of our source code into the target directory here. If we want to see this in action, we can go to the terminal, type in mvn clean install. If I install, give us the printout of running all the tests and importing all the dependencies. If we scroll back up, we can see some warnings. Looks like it doesn't like some of the maintainers for the dependencies. Oh, Google. And then it starts to build, deleting old dependencies from target, copying all Maven plugin and dependency. We don't have too many. Then it starts running tests. It starts up the application, successfully runs, only one test to run, and then build success. Awesome. So it seems like that works out pretty well. Now, if we want to actually run the application from the command line, we're going to need to type in Maven execute java-d exe.main class equals com.my.company.menu application. So let's copy paste that, make sure it works. Okay, let's open up a new terminal. Let's use curl localhost 8080 /menu/items. And we're getting back a result. Awesome. Let's go ahead and exit. Control C to stop. And let's go back to our README. What else do we need? I think this is perfect for now. Well, there might be some cases we want to build the application. And if I could spell application correctly down here too, I seem to always want to swap the I around. Without test cases, please run Maven clean install -d maven.test.skip equals true. And this is some of the robust configuration provided. So I think we're pretty good on that. Let's go back to our terminal. We can do a git status to see the files changed. It looks like it's just the README. So let's git add that. Git commit -m. Updated the README to reflect the app's use. Go ahead and commit that. Let's do a git status to make sure. It looks like we're one commit ahead of our branch on remote. So let's do a git push, log in. Okay. So we go back to GitHub, hit refresh, and we see our changes. Fantastic. Now this is only on our development branch, and since it's only text change, I'm pretty comfortable with it moving into the master. And since we also ran our own test cases and everything passed. So let's go ahead and git checkout without the -b master to switch back over to our master branch. And then we'll do a git merge development in order to merge over the changes from development. Now, an alternative way would be to go to GitHub and to open a pull request. So we could do compare and repull here, or just go to pull requests under the repository, create a new pull request between master and development. And GitHub provides this nice comparison between the two files, or the two different branches, and the changes in those files. Green text being the latest, and red text being the ones deleted. We are going to use the command line, and we're just going to merge development directly into master. So git merge development, and we can see README has been merged with X number of line changes, one file changed, and looks like 16 insertions and 12 deletions. Awesome. We do a git status, still one commit, everything looks good. Do a git push, provide authentication. Oh, I think I have to provide my full email. And our latest should now be on master. So if we go back to our GitHub page on the master branch, we should see the updated changes. Great. So now our source code is backed up, has 2 branches, master being stable and development for any new changes or featuring alterations down the line that we're going to add. I think that's all for this video, so thank you for watching and hope you learned something.